Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.
Welcome to the Neenah Mayoral Candidates Forum, presented by the League of Women Voters of Winnebago County. I'm Margie Davey, president of the League. The League of Women Voters seeks to inform citizens about major public policy issues and about candidates seeking office. We are proud to be nonpartisan and never support or oppose any political party or candidate. For more information about the League of Women Voters, check out our website at lwvwinnebago.org and our Facebook page at LWV of Winnebago County. Public questions were solicited in advance for tonight and may have been edited for brevity and clarity. The candidates have seen none of the questions beforehand. We will also take questions from the audience. Several of you have already submitted some. And if you do have one during the course of the forum, just raise your hand and one of our volunteers will come pick it up for you. Two candidates are competing for the open seat for mayor of Neenah. Both are currently city aldermen. We welcome Jane Lang and Brian Borchett. Candidates, thank you for keeping your answers short so that we can cover as many issues as possible. When you see our timekeeper with the stop sign, remember that that means period. If you insert a comma and keep talking, I will stop you. Were you given 2 minutes? Okay. So you have 2 minutes to introduce yourself tonight? Okay. Okay. Well, let's start with that then. How about you, Jane? Would you like to start?
Thank you. I would just want to thank the League for sponsoring tonight. It's a great opportunity, and thank you for all you do. I'm Jane Lang, and I'm a candidate for mayor of the city of Neenah. Over the past 8 years, I've been serving as your citizen representative on the Neenah City Council. I've also been serving for 10 years as the executive director of the Neenah Historical Society. My husband and I met at UW-Madison, married after graduation, then went to graduate school. We returned to Neenah and raised our 4 children here in the place my family has lived for 6 generations. We are blessed to live in a safe, vibrant, and healthy community, and I am committed to keeping it that way for generations to come. One of the greatest things about serving on the Neenah City Council over the past 8 years has been the opportunity to work with and learn from amazing people. Over these years, I've served on 11 different committees and commissions. Each one helped me gain a better and fuller understanding of our city. My background with a master's degree in organizational behavior and human resources management, combined with working as the executive director of the Historical Society, will help me serve you well as Neenah's next mayor. I've developed and practiced my skills of management as I've been responsible for all the development, budgeting, administrative, educational, and outreach activities of this important nonprofit organization. I have formed great relationships and worked collaboratively with so many organizations and business leaders in Neenah. Most importantly, I have a vision for Neenah's future. That vision has been shaped and developed by years of study and hard work. I've served on the city's Plan Commission for 6 years and served on the city's Long-Range Comprehensive Plan Committee to develop our 2040 plan. I've done the work, I have the experience, and I'm well prepared to, on day one, step into the role of leader and manager for the city of Neenah. I love this community. I'm committed to its future. I hope you'll support me as your next mayor.
Thank you, Jane. Brian?
Hello, thank you, League of Women Voters, and thanks for everyone showing up. It's nice to see everyone's faces instead of empty seats like last time. I often get questioned, why do you want to run for mayor? And it's quite simple. Neenah has given my family and I so much, and it's my opportunity to give back and serve this community. I'm not running for mayor because I'm mad at something or disappointed. It's quite the contrary. I see Neenah's best years ahead. I want to be a part of crafting that future. As mayor, I will create the conditions to collaborate, innovate, and build bridges with all of Neenah, as well as our surrounding communities, to make Neenah a destination for people to live, visit, and invest. I will lead, inspire, and create a vision for the future. I will do this by engaging all of our community in that process. You see, I do this every day. For the past 15 years as a teacher, I inspire young adults to see what they can't. I lead them to the future by showing them what can be possible with hard work and determination. With the help of my colleagues in this community, we have lifted up many families to have and find success. As your mayor, I can't do this alone. This is about all of us working towards a common goal to make Neenah even better than it is today. As your mayor, I'll undoubtedly face many issues and have a track record of bringing people together and listening more than I talk. I will find ways to say yes, and if I have to make a tough decision, I will. If I have to tell you no, you're going to know why. As for qualifications, my experience goes well beyond my time on council. I've worked in business. I've been on a board of directors for a $1.5 billion credit union. I understand the concept of profits and losses. We cannot take for granted that our piggy bank is refilled each year by taxpayers' dollars, and we have to be a good steward of those monies. We owe it to our citizens to be fiscally responsible because they are our customers. In every volunteer experience or job I've had in this community, my leadership is sought out and asked for. I'll just give you that. I thought we had 3, but that's right. I'll finish up later.
Yeah, you'll slip it in somehow.
Yeah.
Are we going to a minute and a half now, timekeeper? Okay. You're both currently employed. Should the voters choose you, how will you handle that? Let's start with you, Brian.
That is going to be one of the toughest things that I'm going to have to do. I teach in the Neenah Joint School District. I have been doing so for the last 15 years. I work with the alternative ed programming. So many of my students that graduate Neenah High School do so and then remain in our community. And for me, this was an opportunity to see that extension and be able to continue to work with those people. I love that opportunity to be able to work and see these people in my community. It would be one of the toughest decisions I'm going to have to make is to leave education. But I have solace in the fact that the leadership skills, the things that I've helped motivate and lead in education are very transferable to the mayor's office. In fact, my classroom is a microcosm of what Neenah is. It's a representation of everybody here at Neenah. And in my classroom, I treat every student with respect and an understanding of they come from various backgrounds. That's how I'll be as your mayor. I will be on the streets. I will be out knocking on the doors still, asking for help or asking for advice, asking for your opinions. And I will not turn you away. I won't turn any of my students away either. So it'll be a tough decision. I'm not a decision. I guess I have to if I'm elected, right? It'll be a tough to leave my students, but I know that I will still be here in Neenah supporting them.
Thank you. Jane?
Thank you. I, too, have really enjoyed the opportunity over the past 10 years to be the executive director of the Neenah Historical Society. It's given me great opportunities to interact with so many different people from all walks of life in the community, and I've loved the job. It's been an opportunity to bring the community together in so many different ways. And it's important for us, I think, as a community to understand our history. It helps us understand where we should be going in the future. That being said, I understand fully that the job of the mayor is a huge responsibility. It's a full-time job. The mayor is not just ceremonial in the city of Neenah. The mayor is the city's manager. It's really important for that distinction to be made because in some communities, it's more of a ceremonial role. In Neenah, it's not. I would have to step away from my role as the executive director of the Historical Society, but I have a plan in place with an excellent person to replace me if I am elected. So we've already talked through that. We know exactly what would happen. We wouldn't skip a beat at the Historical Society, and I would step in on day one on April 19th, ready to serve you as the next mayor.
Thank you, Jane. This was a little more specific question. It came from the audience. Doty Island continues to experience a decline in economic development with the loss of several businesses and services over time. What do you see as the role of the Planning Commission in preventing this from happening, and what is the long-term economic development plan for Doty Island? And we'll start with you, Jane.
Thank you. I have been on the Plan Commission, as I said, for 6 years, and I've learned a lot about how community development works. It's part of a bigger picture in understanding how attracting business to the area impacts us in so many ways. It's not just about the business, it's about the jobs that are created because of the business. It's about people moving here and establishing their homes in the community as well. So Doty Island is an opportunity for us. There are so many things that could be done. I actually had someone reach out to me today asking about street improvements on Forest Ave. So I immediately reached out to our Public Works Director, Jerry Kaiser, and I got the date for them as to when Forest Avenue would be redone. It's a process of working with community development, working with business leaders, attracting business to the community to make Doty Island improved. There are great opportunities there. I think that my experience on the Plan Commission would really help me as we look at opportunities on Doty Island.
Thank you, Brian.
I had the pleasure of our first home being on Doty Island, and if anyone lives there or knows the character, and it's an amazing place. So many different people that from Park Street to First Street. I had the opportunity last Sunday to meet with a business owner, a landlord, Mr. Francis, and I walked quite a bit around Doty Island. His concern was what are we doing? I think it was 2006 or 7, we had a plan or a strategic plan for what Doty Island was going to be. A lot of people, or at least he was concerned that it's kind of been forgotten. I love our downtown and it's amazing. And if we can do that with our downtown, what else can we do with Neenah? And that's the vision that has to happen. I know that South Commercial Street is going to be taking a refresher in 2025. I would love us to start to talk, what is South Commercial and North Commercial Streets? What is that going to look like? What's that vision? And then also building partnerships and understanding that corridor connects Menasha. As Menasha does well, we do well. And if Menasha's downtown becomes vibrant and the more our downtown is picking up people and more vibrant, that corridor is going to be more, desirable for people to build businesses. But we have to make sure that we are open for business and we attract those people here. Make sure that when they do come to Neenah, they feel like they don't have a lot of red tape, or they feel like Neenah is welcoming to those communities. Thank you.
Thank you. I got both of you with that one.
You did?
Okay. Kind of early for me to be
I was gonna
questioning,
say,
isn't it?
uh-oh,
Yeah.
It's going to be a long night.
Okay, the budget for Neenah is quite hefty. What kind of financial background is helpful for a mayor of Neenah? And what outside funds are available, and how would they be used to supplement the needs? And let's start with Ian.
Okay. Obviously, budget is important, and being a steward of your tax dollars is extremely important. We can't frivolously spend money. If we start to think about the inflation that we're all starting to feel now, things are costing more money. And we're going to have to make some tough decisions as we continue to evolve. Working on things such as grants or funding for special projects, collaborating with communities, places like working with our school district to maybe find ways we can become more efficient. Putting the power into people here at City Hall to find solutions for those problems is really important. I've spent time on several boards. I'm currently on the board of Verve. It's a $1.5 billion credit union. So I understand how to be fiduciarily responsible for people's money. I've also been on the board at Brigade, where we've had to manage endowments and look at budgets. So I feel very comfortable to be able to manage those things, but also find opportunities for us to turn off our cell phones. I'm just kidding. Sorry, it's the teacher in me. I'm sorry. So I really do believe that there's opportunities. And I do think one thing that we probably could take advantage of, and I know Mayor Crawford has been great about that, but we have to start asking our state legislature to allow us to be able to use more resources, to be able to free up money, or to be able to use money to help our community when those times are tough.
Thank you. Jane?
Thank you. I also agree that it's very important for us to demonstrate fiscal responsibility and uphold that for the citizens of Neenah. We have been the stewards of your tax dollars, and I've been working on that for the past 8 years. I have experience in not only creating and implementing budgets on the Neenah Historical Society, and in that role, I also have been participating for the past 8 years on creating and assisting and making appropriate changes on the budget for the city of Neenah. So I'm very familiar with how the budgeting process works. Also, I've had the opportunity as the director of the society to be very involved in grant writing. So I'm familiar with that process. I know how that works. We were fortunate to be able to receive some federal funding recently in those ARPA funds, the American Rescue Plan Act. That has helped us have a little bit of space that we can function in, but 70% of those dollars we attributed and have assigned to be going towards public safety, and in a reserve fund for that. 30% of that budget, of that amount of $5.55 million, will be going towards special projects. So there are multiple ways that we can influence the budget.
Thank you, Jane. Okay, next question. In 2019, a proposal came before the Public Services and Safety Committee to ban conversion therapy for LGBTQ plus individuals as part of a youth mental health ordinance. The proposal died in committee. If this issue came before the committee again, what would your thoughts be on passing it? And we'll start with you, Jane.
Thank you. That was a very difficult issue that we had to face in 2019. I talked to many people in the community. I talked with a couple of psychiatrist friends of mine and really looked for information on how to understand this issue and how to best approach it. One of the things I felt was important, we were getting a lot of information from the county, and that's good. We don't have a health department in the city of Neenah, so we need to rely on the county for information. In that case, I felt it was important to consider, was this an issue that was happening within the city of Neenah? I didn't receive any information to say that it was happening in the city of Neenah, so I felt like it wasn't really an issue that we as a city needed to be approaching. It was much more of a county issue because they had the opportunity to influence that with the health department that exists for the county. So I think that kind of sums it up. I felt like it wasn't really a city issue for us to be addressing because it wasn't taking place within the city of Neenah.
Thank you. And Brian?
Can you repeat the question again?
Certainly. A proposal came before the Public Services and Safety Committee to ban conversion therapy as part of a youth mental health ordinance. The proposal died in committee, but if this issue came before the committee again, what would your thoughts be on passing it?
I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, that seems like a very complex issue that I'm not familiar with when it comes to why the city would be looking at that. Maybe I can give you a better approach when it comes to the conversion or conversion therapy, or I think there's some questions about. I look at people as individuals, and I look at each citizen as an individual, and if they are a certain. Trying to kind of give you this overall answer. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have an answer for that question. I deal with students and families from all walks of life in my classroom and people that I deal with in our community constantly. I am not sure of that issue and how I would respond to that without having more information. Sorry about that, being honest with you.
Thanks. We appreciate that. Okay, let's try a different question then. The Common Council of the City of Neenah adopted a 5-year sustainability plan in 2013. It has not been updated. As mayor, how would you ensure that long-term plans are kept up to date and prioritized? And how would you ensure that Neenah can innovate and incorporate new ideas, technology, and vision regarding sustainability? Go for
That
it,
one,
Brian.
okay.
Yeah.
I know about this one. I'm good on this one. I currently sit on the sustainability committee for Neenah, and I look at the idea of our environment, and I look at the ability for us to save money, but also at the same time save our environment for the future. We have to start looking at ways to innovate and become more efficient. I think one of the last budgets I saw, the monthly expenditures, we spend about $50,000 or more a month on gas. And when we start looking at vehicles, why would we not start looking at electric vehicles when we do maybe more of a smaller radius with our park and rec or some of our other departments that can utilize this? As budgets get tighter, finding ways to be able to not expend that much money can also be beneficial to our environment. We worked on solar panels outside by the industrial park for our water tower. I worked on that and with Tony Mock from the Water Commission. So I think when we start to think about our future, we have to embrace it. We have to start thinking about when companies like BMW and Daimler Chrysler and stuff are coming out with fully electric vehicles. We have to find ways we can be good stewards to our environment and also save you money in making sure that that happens together.
Thank you. Jane?
Thank you. I think part of your question was about the fact that we had a plan, but we haven't followed through. I think that's really important for us. We need to focus on ways that we can make sure the plans that we put in place, the time and the energy that we put into creating plans for the city, if they're reasonable and they're important and we feel that they should be completed, we need to follow through. We need to be doers in the city of Neenah. The sustainability issue is very important to me as well. As Brian said, a lot of city departments have taken the lead on this, and particularly Tony Mock with the solar panels that are at the Tower View facility. Other possible sites should be selected as well for the installation of solar panels. That can be so effective for us in helping us save money, and that's saving your taxpayer dollars. I've been really proud of the Parks and Rec Department and their continuous efforts to keep Neenah a tree city. Again, such an important thing for us to maintain and to celebrate. Our Public Works and our City Garage have also worked together, and it's been great to talk with them about ways that we can reduce the waste that we're taking to the landfill. One way we can do that is by encouraging recycling. It's so important. It will save us money. So there are many ways that we can approach sustainability.
Thank you. This one will go to you first, Jane. Downtown Neenah is growing, but parking availability isn't keeping up. What's the grand plan to balance the resident and business parking spaces downtown?
I think the grand plan has yet to be completely developed and revealed. So that's it's an ongoing project, but it's very important. Obviously, we've been adding new interesting things downtown, particularly the plaza. So that's drawing a lot of people to our downtown. I love the fact that our downtown is an established historic district. That means it's set apart in the community. We need to maintain that uniqueness with our historic downtown, but at the same time be adding new businesses, new places for people to work in the downtown. It's a great connection of the old and the new with the Plexus Design Center and then our historic buildings. Obviously, we need to be working on the parking, and that's something that we've been talking about for a long time, and it will be coming soon as we'll be working on the downtown plan we just approved, the consultant to be working on that downtown plan. We've already done a traffic study, so the two of those in combination, I think, will help us get some really good insight on how we can address the parking issues in downtown. One thing I recently did is suggest that we have a sign for speed coming in off of Main Street, so we approved that last night. on the Public Services and Safety Committee that will come to council next week.
Thank you. Brian?
You know, we may not feel the pinch of parking right now because many of our businesses still are having their employees work from home. But as Plexus and as Alta start to have their employees come back, we have to make sure that the promises we made as a city to be able to give those, to actually bring those companies into our city, we owe those obligations to let them and make sure those spots are filled. But we also want to make sure that people from all around the state can come to Neenah and feel like they have access. We also have more people moving in downtown too with the new apartment buildings. So we want to make sure that when downtown looks, and it is amazing, we want to make sure people realize that if they put a business down there, people are going to have access to it. So a lot of what Jane said, because we both sit on council, are very aware of what's going to happen with parking in the future. But it's also a sensitive issue. Where does it go? You know, and who are we asking if we can use land, or what does that look like? I know, and I would love nothing more, and Chris Hayes jokes about it all the time, is once this one is set, where's the third parking ramp going to go? Because we have to have that vision. If all of a sudden we may be in the situation now, like we need parking and no one's using our downtown, they are now, but if they're not, then we got to figure out a way down the road, so making sure that it's a seamless transfer, that we can continue to have that growth that exists.
Okay, thanks. What is the current state of the infrastructure, specifically roads and bridges in Neenah, and what is the plan to keep them safe?
Well, I think that's one of the issues, campaigning, I hear a lot of, and I hear a lot of people, where's my road, or why isn't my road fixed, or can you please fix my road? And I don't know how many people know this, but several years back, when you would have your road fixed, in front of it, it would be a third, and a third. And you would be paid, and you'd have to pay that for that repair. With our TARF tax, if you will, everyone is consistently paying this fee, if you will, so that the roads can then be equitably determined if they need to be fixed. Jerry Kaiser has this amazing spreadsheet that where roads are graded and determined what is the most need at the time to be able to be fixed and scheduled, and then figuring out, contracting out those bids. I know that there has been concerns about Forest Avenue. I received the same information from Jane. A lot of people are concerned about South Commercial Street, making sure, if you've ever driven down that street with a cup of coffee, it's always an adventure. So what we need to do is making sure that we have the ability to communicate that, hey, in 2 years, your road is going to be done because there's 2 or 3 ahead of you that needs to be taken care of. But also with that type of construction, we have to be aware of what disruptions it may cause, and making sure that what we're doing is in the best interest of our citizens. So roads will always be an issue that I'm sure will be coming before the council and before the mayor.
Thank you. Jane?
Current state of our infrastructure, obviously we have problems. We live in a climate that has freezing and thawing, and that contributes in a negative way to the condition of our roads. One of the things that I think is important to understand, I served on the Public Works Committee for 2 years, and one of the things that we've discussed so many times when we're talking about the replacement of roads, it's not just the top of the road. It's not just the surface of the road that determines whether your road is replaced. It's also the infrastructure that's underneath the road, the condition of the sewer and water pipes underneath. So if you, for instance, say, I saw that so-and-so's road got fixed, it didn't look to be as bad as my road, but that's because what was underneath was the problem and was perhaps in a worse state of repair. So that's something important to understand, something I didn't understand until I was serving on Public Works and serving on City Council. I think there's always room for improvement, but I really appreciate the fact that Jerry Kaiser has a spreadsheet. He knows what's coming. He's got it planned out. It's all based on the condition of your road and the condition of what's underneath. So he's got it and he's planned for it, and we as council members look at those plans that he's created, and we help him as we approve roads to be replaced in Neenah.
Building on that same question, Jane, how would you work to ensure that the city of Neenah has a dependable, accessible infrastructure for EV charging?
Well, that's an interesting question. I think it's a really great question, too, because that's something that I ran out of time on the sustainability question to answer, but that's one of the things that I think is really important to include as we think about sustainability. And the opportunities that we have with people increasingly using hybrid or electric vehicles primarily, I think we have opportunity to help the city embrace that by potentially providing some electric charging stations in our downtown or in the community and other places that would be accessible to our residents. I think it's something that we need to be looking at. Transportation is changing. It's something that we need to be aware of. It's something that we need to embrace. So I'm all in favor of the opportunities that we have for creating electric charging stations.
Thank you. Brian?
Obviously, that is a very important issue that's going to be coming to Neenah. People want the latest technology and being able to do those things. One, I think probably was it about 6 months ago, John Bergstrom saw, very a visionary in this community, and saw the need and what is going to be the need for electric vehicles and charging those. He's using solar technology currently at his dealership to be able to charge, if you will, these charging stations. I believe partnerships and finding ways to be able to do it economically and doing it efficiently, but then also promoting it. I often talk about how we need to promote the really neat things that we're doing in Neenah, not just to people in this community, but outside. And if we start to do those things and make it more inviting for people that have a progressive idea about their environment and trying to share those ideas, that's a really good opportunity to bring people to Neenah and say, hey, Neenah's got it going on. We got some ability to really bring people in that want to live here and really kind of focus on some of those, I guess, those ideas that maybe we don't always see because we're just used to doing the same thing.
Okay. What is Neenah doing to encourage citizen participation and involvement within the city? For example, how might a non-elected resident serve? And how will you reach out to ensure a broad spectrum of the community is represented?
Wow. Can I have a couple minutes on this one?
No.
I didn't think so. Two things. First and foremost, when I started as a citizen on city council, we don't have an onboarding process for any new aldermen that get elected. And I could have sat in this chair and not done anything and just kind of absorbed and did this. But what I did is I kind of created my own onboarding. I went out to each of the department heads and said, I would really love to do a 360, spend the day with you and find out what it's like to be in your shoes and what you do. I spent time doing a ride along with the police station. I worked with Jerry Kaiser in Public Works and got a chance to actually drive a grader that we were going to be purchasing. Getting my hands dirty is what I do. I donned a fire outfit, put a mask on, put the tank on, and climbed up a ladder, all the dummy down. So when I knew when it was going to happen is I knew exactly what maybe if someone's coming in, they say we need new equipment. Those are the types of things when I start thinking about that we need to make sure that people have a communication and an understanding when they come on a city council. The other way, too, is making sure we're communicating with our citizens on a daily basis. I've talked about this a lot. I would love Neenah to have an app for our smartphones so that we can be open 24/7 in our community, so that if you want something from your alderperson or your mayor, or you want to pay a bill online, we have to start to be able to reach more people. We won't take away the newsletter and we won't take away the website, but we have to start thinking progressively in how we can engage all citizens.
Hey, thank
There
you.
we go.
You both got that question, right? No, it's
No.
your turn, Jane.
Yes.
Go for it.
This is very important to me. I've really appreciated that our current mayor, Mayor Dean Coffert, has had an open door policy, and that's something that I would definitely want to continue. I've been practicing that open door policy for so many years at the Neenah Historical Society. Increasing people's awareness of what's going on is a top priority for me. One of the ways that we can do that, and have been doing that effectively, is with our city newsletter. A lot of people in the community have not yet embraced digital technology. They don't have an interest in embracing it, and they want to continue to rely on that newsletter, which has been a great resource for the city. I understand as well that we need to think towards the future. We've also been very effectively using social media in Neenah. And Joni Hines, the mayor's assistant, has done an excellent job with spreading the word and helping that be a communication tool. One of the things I think is incredibly important is for the community to be better educated on how best to communicate with their elected officials, how best to affect change in the city of Neenah. It's a process that's difficult to understand when you're new, when you're just coming on, but it's important for us to help the community understand how to communicate with us and how to make a difference in the community, because we want the citizens to be involved.
Does Neenah have committees and boards and commissions that citizens can sit on?
Yes.
That was just for my
Yes,
clarification.
and we're
Thank you.
always looking for people to join them.
Hey, how about we give you each 30 seconds to talk about that a little bit? Go ahead, Jane.
I actually today was interacting with some senior citizens and talking with them about the opportunity to serve on the Committee on Aging. There are so many different committees and commissions that invite the public to join onto these committees, to give their input, to be an active participant in our city government. That's what makes a great community, when everybody is involved, when we hear multiple voices and get interesting ideas and new innovative ideas and opportunities come about as a result of that. So I strongly encourage the community to get involved and look into seeing where they can join in and make a difference.
You have anything to add to that, Brian?
I do. I think one of the biggest things I teach about is civic responsibility, and I encourage people to get involved. A lot of times we are sometimes keyboard warriors where we want to complain about things but not get involved. And I'm always telling people, please, let's hurry up, get in there, learn about your community. I sit on the Sustainable Neenah Committee as well as the Park and Rec Commission. And the information that we get from people and our citizens that come and participate in there is invaluable. Park and Rec, I used a lot of those facilities and a lot of those things when my children were growing up here. Spent a lot of time waiting for that magazine to show up and get excited about those things. But I love to hearing people that are using the current stuff in the current facilities and the amenities right now, because that's so important to make adjustments. So involvement, absolutely. Not just the people that have concerns all the time. Let's look at everybody, all of those people.
Okay, thank you. This is a little broader look. Other cities in the area, notably Appleton and Oshkosh, are focusing on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. The city of Appleton has a DEI coordinator, and Oshkosh has a diversity committee. Do you see benefits in focusing on DEI, and what should Neenah be doing in this regard? Go ahead, Brian.
Wonderful. I currently sit on the equity committee, or I guess we're called the equity champions at the Neenah Joint School District. Our community is becoming more diverse, and I think it's super important for us to be welcoming as a committee, or excuse me, as a community, to make sure that people feel welcome. I think sometimes we get used to doing what we normally do, and sometimes don't recognize some ways to be able to improve. And so I think the diversity of this city has gotten much more since I've moved here 27, 26 years ago. But growing up in Milwaukee, I love the rich history that Milwaukee has had from a diverse population. I love what I've been able to learn. My students come from all walks of life and all different races. I think it's important to make sure that if we want to truly be a community of all people, that we have to embrace that. We have to look for ways to be able to make sure people feel comfortable coming to Neenah. Recently, we were at Winterfest, and some of the Afghan refugees came in town. And we had to realize that we were serving hot dogs. We didn't realize that, well, there's a lot of different cultural, religious beliefs about what you can eat and what you can't eat. And I learned that it's not just because there isn't pork in these hot dogs, it didn't matter, it's how they're prepared. So I love the idea that we're learning about these other cultures, and as a city, we have a lot to learn, and we should embrace that as much as we possibly can.
Thank you. And Jane?
Being the director of the Neenah Historical Society has given me some wonderful opportunities to learn about and celebrate the diversity in this community in its past and in the present. We've had a very strong outreach and opportunity to work with Native Americans from the area and hosting our annual powwow in Neenah, bringing Native Americans from throughout the state to that event. We currently have an exhibit on immigration, and we wanted to focus on the stories of immigration from the past, but right up to the present. So we featured two of the stories of our Neenah Menasha Fire Rescue firefighters, Zhang Yang, who's a Hmong refugee, and Anthony Layton from Costa Rica, also the Joshi family from India. It's just been an amazing opportunity for me to learn more about the diversity in our community and why that's important. I have daily interactions with people from all walks of life at the Historical Society and from all different types of backgrounds, and it's a great thing to celebrate diversity. We as a community need to focus on being allies and friends to our neighbors. We won't always agree, but on this we must agree. All human beings should be treated with dignity and respect. I think that's at the core of celebrating diversity. In a world that's increasingly divided and difficult, we need to demonstrate kindness and compassion to our neighbors.
Thank you. Okay, this goes to you first, Jane. How would you handle annexation of property into Neenah for economic development? Please be specific. Give examples of projects that you would support.
One of the things that's been really wonderful over the years of having served on city council is to see where we were, and particularly in the sense of how many buildable lots we had in the city. When I first joined city council, we had about 20 buildable lots in the city. Now we're at 150 lots. This is a wonderful improvement, and it's something that came about because of thinking ahead, of planning for the future, and making those decisions that sometimes are difficult, but they're important. I think it's very important for us to work collaboratively and appropriately in a non-confrontational way, abiding by our city and town agreements. But we have limitations on where we can go. And those border agreements have been established for many years. But we've found ways, thankfully, with our community development department and their excellent ability to understand these issues, to move forward and acquire some of the properties, annex some properties into the city of Neenah that will help us. That's how we will keep our taxes steady. It's very important for us to be able to add properties to the community. So I support annexation when it's appropriate.
Thank you. Brian?
Obviously, our community around us, from everywhere from Oshkosh to Green Bay, it's pretty competitive. And communities that have a forward thinking about growing are the ones that continue to grow and are viable for the future. We have growth corridors that are designed. We have partnership agreements with the towns around us. But we also have to start thinking, and we have to be able to collaborate with those people when we see that we have opportunities. If we're not careful, sometimes other communities around us will sneak in and annex land that maybe we wanted to have ourselves. I'll be honest with you, we were looking at the school. It's currently sitting in Fox Crossing. And we had the opportunity that we could have annexed that, and I was hoping that we might, but it's not. So we have to have an opportunity when those things come about to make sure we look at Neenah's interests, but also have that collaboration where we're going to be able to have agreements to make sure that those things start to happen. I love the idea of growth. And what I see when I think about growth is that people want to be here. And that really means is that we can be able to build that tax base, and we don't have to address some of those issues when it comes to raising taxes or doing those things, because we are forward thinking about bringing people into the community and finding ways to be able to, grow our borders.
Okay, thank you. Your new newspaper, the Neenah News, recently reported that the DNR has classified the Neenah Slough, Neenah Channel, and Lake Winnebago as impaired. What can the city do to control or reduce pollutants and runoff to preserve these resources for future generations?
We've recently, it's named the Neenah Creek. So just to make sure, and we had an on city council to make sure, our waters and our natural resources are amazing. And we have to be cognizant of it. I know people have probably talked a lot about their experiences in the Neenah Creek and maybe what has happened in the past. The The DNR and the city have worked really hard to recoup, as well as some of the local businesses that have had issues with some of the pollution and things that have happened. We need to make sure that we utilize those resources to the fullest extent to attract people here. Being environmentally conscious and concerned about our waterways is really important, and making sure that we, down the road, save those waterways and those environmental concerns for our future.
Thank you. Jane?
Thank you. Neenah Creek, as it's now known, is a great resource for the community. Neenah means water. We all know that. It's what drew people here in the past. It's very important to us to have clean water in the city of Neenah. The slough having some issues as kind of a tributary or runoff from the Fox River, it's something that we need to be talking about as a community. It's something that we should be talking about on sustainability, but also on public services and safety. It's an issue that will affect all of us moving forward. It's been an issue for years. The slough has, Neenah Creek, for years has had kind of a negative reputation, but I think it's important for us to think about it as an asset to the community moving forward. We've had opportunities to do cleanups on the Neenah Creek, and it's a place that people can enjoy. One of the things I think we need to think about moving forward is encouraging our citizens to think about water, to think about the water that they're putting down the storm drains, to think about fertilizers they're putting on their lawns and how that could potentially be affecting our water supply in Neenah. So I think there are a lot of ways that we can educate the community about our water, the clean water that we need to have in this community, and I think there are great opportunities for us to educate the community in this regard.
Thank you. Okay, going to you first again, Jane. As new businesses and housing developments emerge, rarely does the bus route adjust to accommodate these locations. How can the city work with Valley Transit to ensure that workers are able to get to and from their job opportunities?
Well, that's an interesting question. I think we've had a good collaborative relationship with Valley Transit in the past. I think, again, that's something that we can work together with them collaboratively to address some of those issues. If people are not on the bus route, that's something that we can work with them to remedy. It's important for people to have safe and easy access to public transportation. I think that's a priority in the city, and it's something that we need to be working on. It's something that I think we have great opportunity for improvement in the city of Neenah. So it's something that I would definitely be committed to working on.
Okay. Brian?
Obviously, transportation all around the valley is important. I have a good friend of mine, Keith Shook, who is a bus driver, and he tells me how many people rely on the transportation system to get to places. He's often, telling me stories that, people, they don't necessarily always just choose. Sometimes they have a hardship or something that they need. They have an issue with a broken down car. That Valley Transit is a lifeline for people. And we should work with Valley Transit to make sure and reassess, quite often to find out if the routes they're using are in the best interest. Making sure that they can get to the downtown and maybe they can get to the grocery stores and those things. So obviously transportation is vital. Many of my students take the bus to school, not just the school bus, but the city bus because of maybe outside of the district a little bit, but they want to be at Neenah for an education. So obviously collaborating and making sure that people have an awareness and I guess reorganizing or rethinking where those bus routes are in the best interest of people is important.
Okay. Jane? Did you already do that one? Mm-hmm. Okay, Brian, then this is a follow-up question.
Okay.
Would you support a proposal to ask businesses to advocate for public transportation options for their employees? 30 seconds.
I think finding ways, and this might link to our parking situation, I just don't think, well, let's add more parking and then we solve our problem. What are other ways that we can do? As a leader, I always look for different opportunities and different ways to find a solution to a problem. It's one of my strong suits when it comes to people and having issues is I can bring people together and find out different solutions to a problem. And in this situation, maybe it is, encouraging businesses to do this or encouraging people to do a ride along or a share along, just, exhausting all options. Sorry. You didn't do this. I did, okay.
Jane?
I think it's reasonable to consider asking businesses to advocate for public transportation or to ride share. I know that it's the vast, vast majority of individuals drive to work on their own. That's something that doesn't necessarily have to take place. We've grown accustomed to it. It doesn't mean it's the best way to do it. I think there are ways that we can encourage public transportation, encourage businesses to be supporting public transportation, and it's an area that I would work on.
Okay, thank you. Well, Neenah offers several stunning destinations for cyclists. Commuting by bicycle often can prove daunting. As mayor, how would you make all of Neenah more bicycle friendly, and would you support a rent-a-bike program? Jane.
I've seen the rent-a-bike program carried out in many other communities around the country as we visit our kids who live in different cities in the country. I think that's an interesting opportunity. I'm not positive it would work well in Neenah, but it's something to consider. I'm always open to new ideas. I think working on our bike-friendly routes throughout the city is also important. We have tried to make an effort in that regard. One of the things that we really emphasized in that commercial street corridor plan that passed in 2020, and we haven't really gotten underway with yet, but one of the pieces of that, which was really promoted by Christopher Coons, is bicycle routes and safe pedestrian routes. And that's something I think that we have great opportunity for in the city of Neenah. It's a beautiful community. It's a great place to be walking, to be bike riding. I think that we owe it to our citizens to provide those safe routes for them to enjoy biking and walking in the city.
Okay, Brian?
I agree. Obviously, making accessibility for bikers, for walkers. We have some amazing trails and a lot of opportunity for those trails to have people that have access to get to certain parts of our community. The Trestle Trail, Loop the Lake has been so popular thanks to Future Neenah and all their efforts to encourage that. I think as we start to redo roads, and as Jane had mentioned with the South Commercial project of making bike lanes so people feel safe, we talk a little bit about with the Sustainable Neenah at the Neenah's Farmers Market, we're going to promote biker awareness and making sure people realize that it's a viable transportation and a healthy transportation. So Neenah's done a really good job already with some of the paths that they've created. But as we continue to do those roads, we bring those up again, and continue to redo those, let's make sure that those are considered to make sure that people have a safe pathway as they move about.
Okay, thanks. This is going to sound a little familiar to you. It involves Shattuck Middle School and the property. Should that become available for city use, how could that property, with or without the building, find new life and become an asset to the community?
I just actually had a conversation with Dr. Pfeiffer today, and no unveiling or anything as of yet, but she is working closely with the city right now to make sure that that property is used in the best interest of not only the city, but also those that are surrounding that. Knocking on doors and talking to people in that community, there was a little worry and apprehension about what would go in there. But as that progressed and their voices were heard, there was enough people that have talked about concerns or what that would end up being that the school district, and I know now the city, has talked quite a bit about it. So that is a beautiful piece of land, and it is an opportunity for us to continue to grow and allow people to be entering the city. If we, at least for sure, if I were to, is have like housing, and making sure that the people in that community's houses are respected as well.
Thank you. Jane?
Thanks. The Shattuck property is going to be a significant issue for the next mayor. If the school district, it's highly unlikely the school district would give the city that property. It's more likely something they would sell to the city or offer to sell to the city. So it's important for leadership at the city of Neenah to be fully understanding that process going forward. One of the issues that I've heard recently in talking about this is the fact that mitigating all of the issues at the Shattuck property is almost unfeasible. There's so much asbestos in that building, it makes it quite unfeasible to renovate. There are, however, pieces of the Shattuck property that could be reused, for instance, the gymnasium. Today I was having a conversation with some older people in the community, and they were talking about a senior center and wishing that we could potentially use pieces of that Shattuck property for a senior center. There are many opportunities with the Shattuck property, but some of it is just really not able to be saved at this point. Tearing that property down will be difficult for a lot of us in the community, but it might have to happen. Some parts of it, as I said, could be salvaged and saved and reused. But there are opportunities there. I think it's important for us to be very careful and cautious as we move forward thinking about that property.
Okay, thank you. The city has partnered with other municipalities in recent years, like the Neenah Fire Department and the Loop the Lake Trail. Do you see opportunities for partnering with Menasha and Fox Crossing again, and in what way? And that goes to you first, Jane.
Can you just repeat the first part of that?
Just the city has partnered with other municipalities, so do you see opportunities?
One of the great things about working at the Neenah Historical Society is our partnership that we've developed with the Menasha Historical Society over the years. So I love the opportunities for collaboration. I think it's been fantastic that we have worked together and formed the Neenah Menasha Fire Rescue. It's a very effective use of our resources to have combined that together. I think there are further opportunities for us to consider. I don't know if that would be in public safety or in potentially in other areas, but it's always best for us to think about opportunities to work collaboratively. If we can leverage our relationships and opportunities with other organizations and parts of the city of Menasha and surrounding communities, that will help us to be more effective. It will help us to optimize the resources that we have at the city of Neenah.
Thank you. Brian?
I currently sit on the Neenah Menasha Fire and Rescue Personnel and Finance Committee, and I absolutely love it. Being there and having a voice of another community collaborating for a common effort and a common goal is amazing. And its ability to be able to build those partnerships is essential. As our community continues to change, if we don't look for opportunities to become more efficient, if we don't look for opportunities to partner with our community, then we're going to end up have to do these things alone. One of the big things that we've talked about is with the new school being in Fox Crossing. We have an opportunity now to work with Fox Crossing and their police department with our PD as well to make sure that our students at that new high school, which is amazing, is going to have that opportunity to really work and collaborate on how to make that school as safe as possible. Not only does that collaboration become more efficient, it's going to save us money, but it's just good neighbors. You know, it's really a nice way to be able to say, hey, what are you doing, and being okay the fact that, hey, Menasha's doing it this way. Let's find out if we can do that here in Neenah as well. Again, collaborating and building those partnerships is something that, as mayor, it would be in the forefront of what we do. We can't do this alone as in Neenah, as a city. As we continue to, our community around us grows, we're going to need to be able to reach out and help others, get help from others as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is our last question of the evening.
Oh.
I know how the time flies when we're having fun. Okay, we'll start with you on this, with you, Brian, for this first one. What do you think sets you apart from your opponent and from the current mayor? How would you work on this in your first 100 days? Or how would you make that useful to you in the first 100 days?
I think one of my strongest assets as mayor is my leadership ability and my ability to inspire people to have a long-range vision. I've spent my years teaching and in this community in seeking out leadership roles. I have experience on city government, and I've done that now. I've also have experience sitting on nonprofit boards. I have experience working in business before. So I have a lot of experience with all of Neenah, not just focused on city government. I think I have the ability to collaborate and build bridges for people in our community. I think that's essential. This is not about me, it's about us. And as your mayor, I'm going to make sure that not only am I looking for the next 4 years of my term, but it's going to be the next 40 years. That long-range planning and the ability to bring people together, the willingness to inspire people, the willingness to be able to say that I'm wrong, and if I don't know the answer, to find that out, that's important. The openness, my personality, I think those are some key points too as well. That's why I believe I will be a very good mayor here for Neenah.
Thank you. Jane?
Thank you. My 8 years of service on Neenah City Council, I think, has really set me apart because I have the experience and the established, solid working relationships within the city of Neenah with department heads, with staff, and with business leaders within the community. I'm a demonstrated leader. I've been contributing to 8 years of city budgets, making suggestions, modifications where appropriate, and really digging in on the hard work. It is hard work to be the mayor of the city of Neenah. I've managed and created budgets for 10 years as the Historical Society director. I've been on boards, I've approved budgets, sitting on boards, but it's a very different thing to actually create and implement a budget. It's a very different process. I'm a doer, and I love to dig in on the hard work. I meet with staff prior to meetings. I always come prepared. I have a proven track record working with getting good things done for the city of Neenah. I'm very decisive. I honestly love to get things done. I enjoy working with many different people in the community, and I've enjoyed that over the past 10 to 12 years. I'm always putting Neenah first, and I think that's really a top priority for me, is putting the citizens of Neenah first.
Thank you. Well, this concludes our Neenah Mayoral Forum. You may vote for one of these candidates on Tuesday, April 5th. The polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., and you may register when you go to vote on Election Day. Take a proof of residence with you. Everyone must show a voter ID, a photo voter ID. Go to myvote.wi.gov to find information on registration, ballots, acceptable photo IDs, and polling places. Go to vote411.org to learn more about all the candidates on your ballot. On behalf of the League of Women Voters, I want to thank the candidates for participating tonight, and I want to thank all of you for participating in the audience and for watching this. Remember, your vote is your voice in our democracy. Democracy depends on citizen involvement. Please vote on April 5th. Thank you.
Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.